We're talking about the 7 distinctive characteristics of servant leadership. And these are 7 different words that I have derived right out of the New Testament that really describes, either in a positive way or in a contrasting way, the very leadership style of Jesus Christ. And as disciples of Jesus, we want to become more like Him because He's the greatest influencer. Remember last time we talked about the essence of leadership is summarized really in one word, and it's the word influence. How does one human being influence another human being to do something that is good? Remember, we talked first about the issue of power. That is, what is it that you possess? What is it that you have or you've been given that basically can influence others? That is, what is it about you that you have to offer others for their benefit and for their good? Well, we want to come to the second characteristic, and that is this characteristic of authority. Now, when you think of the word authority, it has a lot of negative connotations. Because it's been so abused. It tends to describe in the mind of most people the power to control people. I have authority over you. You've got to do what I say. You've got to serve me in some way. And yet you need to understand that is a perversion of the very concept of authority. Social scientists define authority as legitimate power. That is, the legitimate exercise of the influence of power. So that is, back to power, whatever you have to be able to influence, to benefit others, do you have the right to basically to give that to others, to exercise that leadership? So this area of authority really has to do with this concept of, do you have the legitimate right to influence those around you? Or are you forcing it upon someone who really does not want to respond to your leadership? The word in the New Testament that we translate authority is this Greek word exousia. And all the word exousia means is the right. And specifically in the context of leadership, the right to make a decision. That is, a decision that you expect others to carry out. And so if exousia is simply the concept of, I have the right to make this decision, and therefore I can expect you to carry out the decisions, my will, the choices that I make, then the issue is, what is it that gives me this right, this platform, to be able to make such a decision? And that's where I call there is formal authority and informal authority. Formal authority is basically what gives you the right is your position. That is, you are the boss, you're the president, you're the senior pastor, you're the owner, you're the leader. As long as your position is acknowledged, your position gives you the right to, exousia, to make the decisions. Someone has to make the decisions in a ministry, a company, an organization, whatever it is. And it is the right of the leader, the president, the boss, the owner, to make those decisions. Now that is formal authority. And Jesus was very well aware of his formal authority. Remember in Matthew 28, before he gives the Great Commission to go into the world and make disciples, it says, Jesus recognizing he had authority over the heavens and the earth, all authority. Matter of fact, just before that, in John 13, remember when Jesus washes the feet of the disciples? He does that, remember, to see how they're going to respond to him humbling himself, because tomorrow he's going to be humiliated on a cross. And of course, the only guy that messed up with the washing of the feet as far as Jesus humiliating himself was the same guy who messed up the next day when he saw Jesus humiliated on the cross. And of course, we're talking Peter himself. But remember, Jesus said, you call me Lord and Master, and so I am. So Jesus fully understood formal authority because of who he was, because of his position as teacher and master. And so formal authority is that you have the right to make the decision that steers your organization or whatever it is that you're leading because of that position. But I move to what I believe Jesus moved to, and that's informal authority. And informal authority is when people basically give you the right to make decisions in their life because of their trust in you and your integrity. See, that's when people begin to seek out your counsel, seek out your guidance. They're not in a receiving mode that basically you have to dictate or by memos say, okay, here's my decision, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. That's formal authority. They do it sometimes out of fear, or they just want to keep their jobs. Or maybe they recognize that you have something to offer and they do respect your power, your influence. But you always want to move from formal authority to informal authority. You want to move where people have such trust in who you are, such desire in what you have to offer, that is your power, that they begin to actually seek out, desiring willfully, that is to yield their will and to carry out whatever counsel, whatever input that you have. And so what happens, instead of dictating decisions, you really you come to a place of shepherding and guiding, because you're dealing with people who very much have already chosen to yield their will to your decisions and to carry out your decisions because of who you are and their trust for you. And as we go into these other distinctives, you're going to find out in just a little bit why it is that they're going to trust you so. So where are we at so far? We have basically the first issue is the issue of power. That is, what do you have to offer? What is it about you that can benefit others? And then the second issue of authority, well then what gives you the right to be able to exercise that power, that influence on others? And the answer is, if it's formal authority, it's your position. But you want to move from formal authority, where people have to carry out your will, to informal authority, where people want to carry out your will, not because of your position, but because of who you are. And that's what moves us closer to servant leadership.